Asha for part 2 of my Super Soldier Talk with James Rink. And by the way, I put a Y in my name, so it's Asha, in case you guys are into numerology. Today, I wanted to go down the rabbit hole with my previous interview and go a little deeper and a little broader and some more examples. I was a little shy on my first interview. I'm used to using my body and performing and dancing and not having to actually speak with my mouth. I lip sync to Bollywood songs, but not actually talking. So I was a little nervous. So hopefully this time I will be more relaxed. And I wanted to start explaining some of my experiences, my psychic experiences I've had with some of the famous super soldier, secret space program, those kind of people. The ones that everyone knows about that are kind of the leaders and the gurus in this field. So I like to get into a trance and listen to talks. So I'm not awake and I'm not asleep. I barely sleep at night at all. So this is what I do most of the time is I listen to YouTubes. And I pick up impressions, visions, other realities as well. And I just thought it'd be interesting to give you some of my experiences. I do advise cautionary on this method because you're more open and you need to know who your sources are that you're listening to because, entities and things like that can also come in through the AI system, through technology. So you do want to be careful. I do sleep with a lot of orgone energy around my head and around my technology, different orgone devices. It seems to help filter out those entities. A little bit about the trance is after over 20 plus years of meditating and yogic practices from Asia and India, Turkey, Middle East, Sufi as well, it's easy for me to get into that brainwave pattern. Other people may have to do some pranayama breathings and maybe some tai chi or something else to get their body mind together to get into that trance. I'm very good at getting into that relaxed state. I like to use scalar wave sound frequencies as well, cymatics, things like that, and aromatherapies to help me relax. So whatever it works for you, I would recommend experimenting. In case you missed the first interview, I will give you a little background on my dancing. I started out as a belly dancer in my 20s to heal myself from endometriosis and extremely painful periods and infertility and blockage in the fallopian tubes. And I used belly dance as a kind of a healing martial arts type training and found my soul into my body and connected the two and actually healed scar tissue using meditation and belly dancing. And then from there I moved to India and learned South Indian temple dance, which is very rugged and your body's like a sacred geometry tool. So you have to practice. I practiced 12 hours a day to catch up, being so old and trying to learn to dance at that age. And then the rhythms and the Sanskrit, it was a lot going on. Then I learned some Sufi dancing, some Turkish swirling, and the different practitioners I've gotten the pleasure to work with. So, and then from then I learned sacred dances, ancient Persian dances, Moroccan, Berber dances, particularly the Gypsy tribe. I lived in Jaipur, Rajasthan, India, and studied and toured with a band of Rajasthan gypsies. And we performed every night around the fire for the tourists and even went out into the desert to some tribal people. They're the people that have the cobras in their house, little huts they make, and the women do the dance and the men play the flutes, the gourd flutes, and they can actually make the cobras come out. And that's one of the dances I learned, many more. But I got more into the sacred dances and the ancient dances, and those seem to put me in an altered state and heal my body and help heal the audience as well. And then after, over 15, 20 years of dancing on stage, I decided to do hospice work. So I spent 5 years, kind of took off unless it was a very spiritual event, and just did hospice work, dancing around the world for them. Sacred dances from all the different religions and cultures. Zoroastrian, Sufi, Berber, the blue people, the Tuareg, and get them a little bit involved into each one. And I believe that the DNA does hold some memories of our ancestors, and there's rhythms and there's meaning in the words beyond what we think they are, that it just speaks to a part of our ancient selves, our ancient souls, our ancestors. So I kind of used that as my spiritual practice, is the dancing. And then I got into the liturgy dancing, doing the elder homes around Georgia I mean, I'm talking the mountains, the oceans. I was everywhere. I would get requests to do some Bible verses. And at first I thought it was cheesy. And, like, we have no records of how the ancient danced in the Bible days. We just don't know. There's no teachers. I mean, there's nothing. So I thought, well, this will be cheesy. But then I asked my Indian classical dance teacher, Sujaya Dixit from India, from, an amazing lineage of performers from Chidambaram, Lord Shiva himself's town, and the greatest emerald Shiva statue in the world. It's where Shiva dances. Helped me choreograph some liturgy dances to some songs, some local Georgia and South Carolina singers. And this is what they do in the church. Liturgy dance means church kind of praise dancing. And that opened up a whole nother sacred feminine that I had been denouncing, and got me back into the Mary Magdalene Chronicles and the sacred Christianity. And I got to see the Orus Boris, the great alchemy of the male and female. After that, the first time I did the dance, which is on YouTube, I found myself in outer space into microparticles of like water kind of crystals, like swirling like cinnamon rolls. And I was into like a million pieces in outer space. And then another swirl of cinnamon buns started coming at me, and we both started mixing together. It's like male and female divine alchemy. And it was in an ecstatic state that I wish I could share that with everybody I know. It's out of this world. So anyways, that gives you some ideas of my sacred dance adventures. So right now, I wanted to share with you some recent experiences I've had, psychic experiences. Some were good and some were bad experiences. And just because I was listening to this person speak during these experiences, I can't say that it has anything to do with their intentions of being good or bad. It could have been hacked. They could have been waiting for me to contact these people and went ahead and got me through my computer, or my YouTube, or my iPad, or my smartphone that's on. Somehow, I was listening to Simon Parkes recently, and I was so excited. It was almost like a live one. I think I was one of like 40 people that had actually listened to it yet, so it was brand new. And he mentioned if anyone had ever had a reading with him and somehow it just got disconnected, or they could never get in touch with him, or we paid for a reading but it never happened, which is what happened to me. I paid a couple of times and the money kept disappearing, and then his managers, which would change every 30 days, would say, oh, we didn't get it. Oh, the appointment's canceled. 6 months of this dancing around to get an appointment. Finally, I get an appointment with him, and I'm so excited. I got my Skype on, and he's got his Skype on, and we talk, and we get disconnected over 20 times. I mean, it's so bad that we can't get a sentence into each other. And all I really got out of it was, I'm beyond the fifth dimension, at least fifth dimension or above, but I still didn't get to know which star system I'm from. And that my hair needed to be red, because that was my RH negative blood in my green eyes, and the spirits were saying I needed the red hair again. So thank you, Simon. I did listen to you, and I make my hair red using a natural product by Aveda. So meanwhile, I email him immediately on my computer, because it's like 3 a.m, and I think it's a British, I forgot who was interviewing him, but he said, now, here's my new email for anybody who needs to get a makeup interview with me that wasn't able to. I'm now accepting appointments. So I got online, and with my blurry eyes, and I'm typing, and I'm emailing Simon what happened, and I'm so excited, I can't wait. And then I go to sleep. And then I have one of the worst nights of my life, which I can say I've had a lot of the worst nights of my life, but this was the new of the worst night. Somehow, the nanobots inside me organized themselves. All of them came into one nanobot, like a group, like a hive, or an ants, or bees, or something. And they started in, I don't know, they started in my lower organs, I think, and they started drilling into my body with a frequency. They made like this really hard frequency, and it was like burrowing into my organs, and it was very painful, and it was very real, and it was so much torture that I had to fight to not actually pass out. And what I would do is I would go into the pain, I would face the pain in my body, and I would match the frequency of those nanobots, and I would give it right back to those boogers and match the energy, match the amount. I guess I maybe did a little bit more, I'm not sure. Then I could get rid of them. Then they were out of my liver, then they were in my gallbladder, then they were in my hard. I mean, it was like I had to just keep going. Then they ended up in my third eye. And that was really, I guess, my pineal gland. It was horrible. And I kept fighting them. And then finally the morning came and I woke up and I can't even tell you what I felt like. It was like I knew I was tortured and I knew it sucked and it was horrible. And I knew that it was over and it didn't really matter anyways because other things like that have happened. But it's not a fun day when you have to wake up from that. And I'm not blaming Simon Parks in any way. I mean, it could have just been when I emailed him to get an appointment that they've been surveillancing me and blocking my emails anyways, and they didn't want me to talk to Simon. Then a few months, maybe 6 months prior, or maybe up to a year ago, I was listening to another interview of Simon Parks by these two British women, and I know one of them has really short hair, and I think the other one does too. And they wear the cute European glasses, you know, the kind of square ones, and I apologize, I don't remember the names. And they were asking really intelligent questions. They were very educated women. They probably have PhDs and stuff in psychology or something. But they were talking, and I was in a trance, and this woman said something, and it triggered me inside. And it was a little sentence, a little phrase that's like, you would never think that would be a trigger or anything, and I never actually was consciously triggered that I know of, you know, like feeling it. I've heard about it, and it just scared me and just turned in my stomach. It was just this, I don't know. And then all of a sudden I fall asleep and I am attacked by a living being of another dimension, and it's the size of a human, and it's strong, and it's trying to rape me and take my energy, and I can see it and I can feel it. I can see it with my eyes open. I could see it with my eyes closed, and I could physically feel it. And it just grabbing me and trying to kiss me like a pig all over me like crazy. And it took everything, every ounce of strength physical that I had to like keep fighting it off me. And finally I got to this point inside where I was so pissed. I can't even tell you how pissed I was. I just got in this deep inner rage of my body, and I just screamed at this creature. And then I just gave it to him. I'm not really good at that verbal stuff with, you know, giving someone a piece of my mind verbally, like some Italian women or Spanish women or any day women. I'm not good at that. You know, I'd rather just punch them in the face, to be honest. I'm not very organized when I'm pissed with my mouth. But I just, where you do that? Hey, I just tell this guy what I thought of him. And then I felt bad for him because he got off me and he sat on the edge of the couch and he kind of slumped down all the way and his neck was down. Now, what he looked like a human form, maybe a little taller, maybe a thin, maybe like bigger shoulders, but all I could see was like an astral guy, you know? So all I could see was like he had like green veins, kind of like a live light is what he was made out of. I gave it to this creature, and I really gave it to him. And I don't know, and then I guess he must have gone away later. I don't know, I felt kind of bad but I had to get him off me, and it was really real. So those are just some recent events on the YouTube with Simon Parks. Then I want to go to one of my heroes, who I'd never really talked to be honest, on the regular plane, but I did secret missions with him at night quite a lot for over a year. Harold Kautz Vela. I think he's a physicist, or at least he studied the physics in Germany, and he's probably the world's authority on black goo and chemtrails, and he's put the whole thing together, and if you haven't studied him, it's highly recommended that you do. I watched all his videos, and he has a 50-page report on how to reverse if you're infected with the nanobot/spider/fungus black goo stuff. I recommend reading that as well. So I'm going to talk about the black goo. When I was a little girl, I didn't see the blob yet, to my knowledge, but I would have these reoccurring nightmares, and I would be in this giant warehouse, and this black blob would come chasing after me, and it would move, and it was so horrible and so terrible that if it got me, it would be the worst thing ever. I don't even know what it would do, but it would be so bad. And the only way I could get away from it is jump on this giant ball, like a plastic blow-up ball, you know, like red and white and blue triangles on it. that meet, that kind of a ball thing, like a beach ball. And I had to jump on that beach ball and just keep going and going. And that was torture all night long. That was my night. Just not falling off that beach ball and going. And that was years and years of the same dream. It's just absolutely horrific. Okay. Then I'll jump to more recent times. I was dancing in Destin Beach, Florida, in one of the beautiful hotels there. And I got there a few days early to work with some of the family for a wedding. And I would go and meditate every morning on the water on the beach, and it was just a magical place. And I would have holy experiences with herons and fishes and beautiful nature experiences in the morning. Well, this one morning I'm walking and I see on this one, it seemed like a mile long pier, like a big bridge, and it's just the Gulf under you, this beautiful fluorescent green turquoise, you can just see to the bottom. And I see a dolphin way over on the other side, and I think, oh God, I wish that dolphin would come over here, and I would love to see that dolphin. So I'm walking, and all of a sudden, the dolphin is right in front of me, and he's like maybe 30 feet below me, or however many feet down the bridge is. And he does tricks for me for like half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. He's doing dolphin tricks. And I'm thinking, did this creature escape from SeaWorld or something? Because I've never seen dolphins do tricks in the wild. So he's doing jumps in the air and spinning while he's jumping and doing torpedoes and doing it again and again, and then jumping up and doing spins. And I was crying. Like, I knew God was talking to me, and my soul was just touched by this dolphin. It was like God's trying to tell me something, and I couldn't figure it out. Like, animals talk to me, I talk to them. They come, wild deer will walk with me. Creatures, they let me pet them. But I don't really know what they're saying. I don't claim to be some great animal communicator. I know how to talk back to them, but I don't know what they're telling me, really. And I'm praying, crying. What is he trying to say? So he takes I think it might be called a yellowtail fish. I'm not sure, but he's a beautiful, or a tang. He's like this big, and he's flat. He's like a 2D, kind of like Nemo, but he's just gigantic. And he's yellow and white, and he's got like the lips and, the pretty long tail. And this dolphin takes the tang fish, or yellowtail fish, and he grabs him in his mouth, and then he pushes, and he goes in the air and does these giant leaps like a Ferris wheel. Then he goes under the water with the fish in his mouth, and he just does it again and again. And I'm like, oh my God, is he tormenting that poor fish? What the heck's going on? And then he would take the fish and let it go under the water, and the poor fish was so dizzy, he was swimming like a totally drunk fish, like under the water. And then the dolphin would go around the fish like this. While the fish was trying to swim, the dolphin would go in circles and circles around the fish while he's trying to swim. Then the fish would get undizzy, and the dolphin would put the fish in his mouth again and do this giant circle thing, above as below, as above as below, in the karmic cycle of life and death. I mean, it was like a miracle. So then the next day I wake up and I did my gig. I'll tell you about the gig after this story. And that's when the Gulf oil spill thing happened. And I don't get stunned by the news. I don't even watch the news, and I don't listen to it, but I don't know. I guess I had nothing else to do but listen to the radio while I was driving. And I felt like complete crap for the beautiful creatures, all the beautiful fish and the turtles and the birds. And I just felt sickness and oh my God, those poor creatures. And then I remembered the dolphin, and I thought, no, I don't need to feel horrible and crap for this. Is the circle of life, and whatever creatures were killed, they will be reincarnated as new beings. And so to me, I think that's what the dolphin was trying to teach me. But as we all know from many videos and like Harold Vella and other people, the black goo was what was coming out. Some sort of conspiracy was happening in the Gulf of Mexico, and it had to do with the black goo. And it was almost like a World War III. Like all the major countries had their warships out there, and I don't know. I don't understand the details, but it had to do with black goo, not an actual natural oil disaster. So I don't know. It was very karmic. Meanwhile, at the gig, the teenager that I was gonna work with and some other women, she went demonic on me. That it does happen every now and then, but not, you can never get ready for it. She had witnessed some horrific murder when she was an infant. And so chopping, mom was chopped up and stuff. So I think it had gotten into her subconscious or something. And she decided to psycho on me. And her eyes, literally, when she was talking to me, like mean and everything, like 3-inch black darts came out of the pupils. And you could see them pulsing like this. And she got me kicked out of the whole wedding and the gig and everything for things I didn't do. I still tried to dance, and the first dance, all of a sudden my heart was like, I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't inhale, and I couldn't even walk. Something had caged my heart so it couldn't beat. And I don't even know how I didn't die. I mean, something literally got a hold of my heart and just squeezed the crap out of it. This was probably the day before I left. I probably stayed a day later because I had a free hotel, so I might as well enjoy the beach. But it was a really horrible experience to have to go through this demonic experience. Then one night I had a vision of Harold. He visited me in his higher self astral body of his true self, his true alien self, and it looked like an Atlantean priest from another dimension, at least 60 or more. And it was just like, he was made of electricity. He had like blue and red and yellow and, bigger white face and just hair. Everything was alive. And it was like more than 3 dimensions. And, he's a very powerful, that's a reincarnated being, or maybe that's his true self. I don't understand how all that works. But we would meet in the dream state in different places around the world. And he was always in a hurry, and hardly anyone was helping him. Like, I don't know why, but it was just like me and him, and I was like, oh my God, nobody's helping you. And so he had these globs of golden goo, and he was like, come on, hurry, help. And he would just like pinch it off and give it to me. We got to put it everywhere. Go around the world and stick it everywhere, or else, it's real important. And so I would go running around the world with these golden goos and sticking them in different places in different countries. And one place I remember, we ended up running through like a war zone and like dead bodies, and it was almost like, it was like the Pandora's box of hell. It was like everything was dead and stinky and rotten bodies, and we ran through, this death valley of real disgusting, it was like everybody's horrible fears in this crap. And then we met in the middle when there was a huge tent over our heads, and then it seemed like everything just went atomic. All exploded. And the whole world was like burned, but we were saved. There was a lot of people under this tent, and we didn't die, but it was weird. And so that was one. And then I remember many other meeting him at secret places in South America and doing goose, golden goose stuff. And then one night, this happened to me, and it turns out I called my psychic healer, one of my psychic healer friends, and he said, after I told him what I went through, I am one of so many women at that same time, the same week or two, that had the exact same experience. Out of no reason, all of us had this psychic attack that was kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself, why don't you just kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself. And it was like this voice. And then the feeling was like out of nowhere. You don't even have a thought. You're not like, oh, I don't have any money. What's the point? Oh, I was raped. Maybe I should kill myself. There was no thought of any kind, no negative depression, nothing. Just all of a sudden you wake up in the middle of the night and you want to kill yourself really bad, and you have to. Like, it was really strange. And it was like feelings, emotions. It was definitely some sort of an attack. They were using projected emotions and some sort of telepathy and maybe some scalar waves and stuff. And I took everything I had. I just shook and cried and cried and cried. I just cried all night, just cried. It was horrible. And I finally cried myself to sleep like in a complete baby state. And somehow I flew to Harold, wherever, in an astral plane, and he just hugged me, and he held me, and he hugged me through this horrible experience that I was going through, this just horrible death. If I have a family, and so that would be selfish of me to kill myself, and, so I had to hold on. I think if I had nobody, I might have done it just because it was so powerful. And then, like I said, when I called my psychic healer, he goes, I've heard this so many times in the past 2 weeks. It's like an epidemic. So, in case that ever happens to you, call a good friend and don't believe it, okay? It's totally manufactured. And they do target super soldiers, and they use secret weapons. So be careful out there. And then I wanted to talk about my last recent David Wilcox visions I had. I was listening to him speak some of the recent talks. This is last week. And all of a sudden, I see him and the other guy talking all night long, but he's in his alien form. And he's got like a big head, like he's a white guy, he's real white and whiter than normal, long head, and then he's got these two bulging like giant grapefruits coming out of his skull, and there's a cleft in the middle. And that's some sort of alien. I don't know which one it is, but that was interesting to see his actual alien self. And then a couple of times when he was talking, I went into a trance and I was in Atlantis, actually seeing the technology, some of the amazing rainbow glass technologies that they would use. So it was gigantic, bigger than a car, like a gigantic truck size, and it was round this way. And I think it had a zona in the middle, like there was nothing in the middle, and then the outside was like kind of glass, different rainbow color kind of thing. Like the whole thing was like a 3D donut, and some sort of lasers that would go into towards the middle, and so you would put the object or the person in the middle, and they would be like supercharged or something. I don't really know, but some sort of technology where they were empowered. And then I remember I was listening to one of Sergeant Dan McMullen's recent talks before he kind of quit being on the air. And he was talking, I was in a trance, and he said, yeah, you can turn off your AI nanobots by telling the program to stop, or something like that. And all of a sudden, I had this like hum in my body that I got used to that I didn't know was there. It's just a nice feeling, like a hum, And all of a sudden when he said that, the hum stopped in my body. And then I realized, oh my God, I had a hum, like a frequency, kind of like a circle running in my body, like a circuit. And that was a program. There was a program running in my body, and he stopped it with his one word. And apparently we can all do that. So we can command with our I am presence for the negative programs running in our body to cease and stop and delete. We have that power, and we can do that. One time I was listening to Sarah Adams, and she had another name. I forgot her other name. Rachel something. But this was one of the first ones in London when she was speaking, and I went into my trance, and I don't know, I was going to remote view her. I don't know why. And then I left my body, but then all of a sudden this giant white tall alien was like, poof. And he was over my head, and he blocked me, and he was like, poof, there he was looking at me, and he was there. He wasn't going to let me go anywhere. So I have no idea what that means. I don't know if she is a tall white or if they work with her and they're protecting her. I don't know, but I don't go around hurting anybody, so that wasn't my intent. I was just trying to see what was going on. So, and then one or two times I saw Jay Essex. I was remote viewing him because he was going through some attacks at night. And he was wondering, like, his foot would be blown up, and he couldn't walk for a couple weeks. It was horrible. And I saw some dudes, men in nice suits and things, in there, and they had these giant syringes, like, they look like the kind you'd use on elephants, like, big one. Like, I've never seen one that big in my, as a human. And they were injecting him with this clear serum into his foot. And I tried to contact him and let him know that was going on, but I don't know if he got the messages. Since I'm being hacked, I'm sure he's being hacked all the time. By the way, most of these experiences I have before I know that anything exists or even heard it on anyone talk about it or anything. These are my experiences. Then I find out later they have a name, and there is things like that. And that's I know that's horrible. It's nice to know that, hey, it does exist. This was when I was at my parents' house. All of a sudden, I'm sleeping, but yet I knew something was in the room. So I thought I got up, but it was really my light body that got up. And I'm looking around the room for the thing that's in the room. What is the thing, And I think it's a hummingbird or something, and I'm looking under things, and I find it. It's a bright silver metal bird with wings, more than 2 wings, and he's making this high-pitched noise. But he flies really, really fast. And it's like somehow they threw it in my room. And he was trying to make me paralyzed. Like the high pitch would go into the brain, and it was kind of like stunning the nervous system in the brain. And then I didn't want to be paralyzed and unconscious, and it was very high pitched. And so I got really, really, really pissed off at this bird thing. And so I matched its tone, and it was coming right toward my third eye. And I just went as angry and screamed at this high humming, like really, really humming scream, and my whole head was vibrating with that sound. And so I matched his frequency, and then Sergeant Dan McBlavin said that I blew the crap out of that thing and completely destroyed it, and that they were probably pissed off because those are very expensive toys. So that's one thing. If you do find technology and it's making a frequency and it's coming after you, you go ahead and you match that frequency as fast as possible. And you use your anger and you give it right back to it. And I did the love and forgiveness thing my whole life for these technologies, and it doesn't work. I'm sorry to say, but I got 0 results and more torture. So at this point, it's, now or never. And that would be the same for nanobots. If the nanobots decide to come and attack you, you can tell them to stop and delete, just off. Or if they're drilling into your brain, you can match the frequency of the nanobots as well, and you can just terminate them. This is another technology that I don't think I talked about last time. I was doing some psychic readings at a fair, and I remember this one man. He was a short guy. He was a short black guy, and he looked like a mini-me Muhammad Ali. I mean, like, just a very particular look about him. Body type and square jaw, and the whole deal, the big shoulders. But he was like a short Muhammad Ali. And he seemed so nice, and I remember reading his palm. And then all of a sudden, I'm sleeping in bed with my boyfriend and my dog at the time. And I hear a pitch noise. And then in my mind, I thought I got up out of bed to go see what's in my house. But again, this was my light body because I thought it was real. And there is the Muhammad Ali guy standing there in my living room. And he has this device in his hand that's kind of like a square metal box. And then it has like a little plastic microphone-y thing coming out of it. And he's kind of turning something. And okay, so I was like, okay. Meanwhile, I can't deal with that because I go back in my body and my ears are hurting. These high frequencies are coming between both ears. And they're meeting in the middle of my brain, where those nerves, synapses connection neurons are. And it's being fried. I'm being fried like a hard-boiled egg in the microwave. It's just horrible. And the pitches would meet in the middle and it just get hotter and hotter and higher and higher. And I was getting paralyzed. I mean, I was getting completely stunned. My body was paralyzed. I was still conscious, but I was completely frozen. And I knew I was about to go unconscious. And then once you go unconscious, God knows what's going to happen, right? And so I take my hand. I force my hand with my mind to go touch my boyfriend's head on his skull like this. And then I tell my hand, I say, brain, match this person's brain frequency. Not mine, match this person's. So I neutralized the attack by using someone else's brain. Because they were coming after me and not him. Meanwhile, my boyfriend wakes up, starts screaming at me that he had a nightmare. I was French kissing this black guy that looks like Muhammad Ali. And he swore I was doing it. And I'm like, oh my God, no, I was not doing that. And it was interesting because I didn't tell him what I saw. And he described what he saw, and it was exactly the same guy. And it was in exactly the same place, in this one particular place in the living room, where you first walk in, and before you take a left at the next couch. And that's where I saw the guy. So then we wake up and we go there to investigate that area, because we're kind of like, we both had a dream, but it was different. Well, my dog, Kala Bhairava, had pee. Like, he doesn't do that. Like, he might pee a tinkle, but he's not like, I'm gonna pee. He never did. A pee like the biggest pee in the universe. We go there, and he had urinated in a giant puddle. So it's total proof that, there's something going on. And that day, because my dog doesn't do that. So I don't know if it was the guy's astral body was there, or if it was really he was there, but my dog is a biter and a barker, so I I think he would have barked. I don't think he would have peed on the real man standing there. The next morning, oh my God, I felt like I had been hit and hit on my ears, like from here to here. My ear, I couldn't sleep on my ears. So all I could think about was the pain in my ears. And so luckily a girlfriend of mine had a cymatic machine, and she worked with me for a couple of days. It took about a week or two, and we slowly got the pain out of my ears and my head. It was like I was microwaved. It hurt. These are just experiences. I don't know the names of the technology, and I don't have scientific proof of anything, but I do. I'm intuitive. I can feel things, and I can see things. So here's some drone information. I was talking to Sergeant Dan Bolin on the phone one time, and we would just constantly get cut off, and almost ridiculous when we're talking about some seriously important things, right? When you really get to something, bunk, bunk, bunk. So then we finally get talking again, and he does something where he's like, he does something to the phone where they can't be bugged anymore. And then I'm in my parents' backyard, and I see this, I think it's a hummingbird, come beelining really fast into the, into the yard. And I'm thinking, wow, that's the fastest hummingbird flying straight like a bullet I've ever seen. Well, it turns out it's not a hummingbird. It's an ugly, ugly, gray, no sparkle dragonfly. And I've never seen one that ugly in the wild. It was dull. His scales had zero luster. And not to mention he flew like an idiot. The thing made these wide, like curvy turns, like woo. It didn't fly like a happy dragonfly, and it just sat there and perched right next to me, and it would fly horribly. It would overshoot itself all the time and then try to come back. And whoever was flying that thing, I'm sorry, but you need to go back to video school. It was horrible. It was so obvious, and that's happened several other times for these drones that are just. I mean, if you're going to make a drone, can you not make it pretty and put some sparkles on it? And God, that's so obviously fake. It didn't do anything. I know that they probably can kill us, so I'm glad it didn't do anything dangerous. But it was very ugly, and you can kind of tell. It kind of has no soul. I'm going to get into some nanobot implantation, which I didn't even know they could do all this stuff. And it happened to me, and this are the experiences I had. I wake up in the morning one day, and I have a hernia sticking out of my belly button, like a wire. I can't see it, but I can feel it, right? And so I take my finger and I can squish it in the belly button and kind of move it, and then the wire is gone. It's not coming out. Well, then it will come out again. I push it, I can wiggle it and smush it around. It's like a wire in my belly button. Plus, and I have pictures of all this. They would leave a white round and dots near the edge of the belly button. So every morning I had one or two of these little like white bubbles that were right on the edge of the belly button. And then they would turn up here, and then they would turn up here. And so I don't know what in the heck they were putting in me. Then like a week or two later, I'm sitting there listening to some nanobot talks, and all of a sudden I wake up at the same time, like my whole body gets replicated. I can feel these nanobots in me, and they go like, attention, let's do it, go. And they go, and they're not doing anything to me, except they're like digitally taking pictures of me or something, or 3D I mean, I can feel them, and they end up at the feet and the hands at the same time. But it was all in a uniformed, like a beehive consciousness. It was not fun. I felt very invaded. And I'm so sensitive, like I said, it's annoying, because I can feel dust mites. Like if someone has dirty sheet on my nose, I feel them crawling all over me. So that's just how I am, very sensitive. So then after that, I started feeling my nerves hurting, and it would come and go, like, it would be nothing, and then all of a sudden at night, I'd have like 10 experiences where like the ends of the fingertips and the toes would just hurt out of nowhere, just burn, like, and it hurt, and I'd have to like send the white light to them and just try to not let the pain affect me, and just kind of not give any energy to it, and it would just happen in different nerve endings, and that happened for a while. I don't know, apparently they eat your nervous system when you don't have a lot of copper and some other healthy metals, The nanobots rebuild your nervous systems using strontium and barium and aluminum and other things from the chemtrails. And that's how they, and then you become an antenna. So we will become living antennas. So our bodies and our nervous systems and our brains are super sensitive and reactive to scalar waves, microwaves, satellites. So we can be controlled without people coming into our house or, machines. I mean, they can just do it from a satellite because we are giant antennas. We got false nervous systems that are easily manipulated, and we might even become robots. I mean, I don't know how complicated and how good they can get at it, but we'll see. I don't know. But I'm trying to, to fight those nanobots and, keep your diet really clean and stay away from GMO food, and particularly wheat. That's a bioengineered as well. And then the fungus, the nanobots also live like a fungi. They multiply that way. So you want to keep drinking apple cider vinegar, kombucha mushroom, and all those things that help cut down like the carbs and keep the fungus down. Keep the colon cleansed as much as you can. Colonics, OxyCleanse, essential oils, enemas, that super salt from Sweden, that special salt that helps you make your 13 strand of DNA, those kinds of things. I use 2 things that help with the some of the bacterias, bloodroot and Venus flytrap tinctures. They also help keep those things down. Meanwhile, you want to cleanse out toxic heavy metals. You can use different algae and China chlorellas, and I like to use humic and fulvic acid. They help the bad heavy metals. It's sort of like a sponge. It sucks them up. And then you want to eat some powdered shungite, nano powdered shungite, and nano silver. You want to go nano because these things are nano, and that helps neutralize their electrical systems when you use these things. Another thing that used to happen to me when I would walk into a new room, and thank God it stopped happening. This was like 2 or so years of this crap. I'd walk into a room and I would see this black flash, like a flash, but it was a dimensional. It was only like on this plane, and it would kind of go bloop, 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 bloop. Like everything would go black only on this plane, but it was like they were slicing time realities. I mean, it was visual, and I could kind of feel it too. And that used to happen a lot. And now lately, it's the white flashes are coming in. So when I walk into a room, it's a white flash instead of the black thing. So that gives me some hope that we're on a positive timeline. Here's some more drone information. This was visions given to me when I was reading a giant encyclopedia. It's a Christian doctor, and his book is called something like A Magnificent Way, or the Magnificent Way, or A More Magnificent Way. And it's medical data on all the diseases in the Bible as a cure. There's a line from the Bible for each disease, and it explains your self-negative hatred psychological part, and then what in the Bible you can say to give yourself a positive on that. And he has like a over 80% cure rate on all diseases using this Bible method, but he's also got the science to back up how the diseases are formed and all. So when I was reading this book, I would go into a trance and I would have visions, and they were horrifying. So somehow the book opened me up to some sort of veil or something that's been over me. And so this is what I saw. It looks like a bird, but if you get really, really close to it, because it's way up there, you realize it's not a bird. It's like a black, fake metal drone that looks like a bird with the wings and the big body. And it flies up high. And that drone opens up, and black boxes come out of him. And the black boxes have little weapon on them, kind of like an external laser. And they can go, and you can drive and drive and drive, and they're fast, and they can find you no matter where you go. It's really scary. It's like they have so many, each of those birds has so many of the black boxes inside of them. It scared the crap out of me when I woke up from that vision, that dream. I was like horrified of amount of power and evil and how you can't outrun them. And then literally that morning, I started getting emails and phone calls and voice messages from the black box company offering me a job, and that it was already a done deal. All I have to do is come in or call, or I mean, it's like, it was so weird. Like, what the heck, you know? That scared me even more. Then also another vision I had after reading that book, which the book didn't talk about anything at all evil or anything about technology. It just somehow opened me up. I don't know why. It was like this scary giant, like, you know when they have the Hollywood signs and they do those big circus lights. They're like giant round lights that go into the sky. It looks like that, but it's not. It's a death ray, and it's green, and it just goes, and it goes from here to wherever the end of it can reach, and it neutralizes all life, plant life, animal life, everything. It just goes shh, and it's terrifying. And I saw that thing too, and apparently Tesla invented that a long time ago. That I didn't know about it though. Here's a new development in some of the AI things that I actually can see them, unfortunately, and feel them. I don't know what they have names for them, but they're basically black shadow bee blobs. So they just look like little blobs, like long ones, and they kind of fly like this. They always fly in a straight line. They're usually low flying. Sometimes they're high flying. And I think they got inside me one day because I had a couple of long tumors in my neck. And then I did some light therapy and meditation, and I saw black tubes go, like all of them, out of my top of my head. And then when I woke up, those tubes were actually gone. But when you see them in your house, you do need to act. It's a serious thing. They're kind of like alien implants. They suck out your energy and your chi, apparently, and then they fly back to some special computer bases where they feed that chi back to whoever's taking our chi. So sound therapy, cymatics, is apparently one way to get rid of them. Some really good sound therapy in the house. And then we found sage works. If you use sage in a proper way with the right animal spirit and do your chant, it will actually neutralize these animal kind of things. I used to see archons swimming around. I didn't know what they were until I studied them. I'd go to people's houses and they'd be in the ceiling, and they'd be like a 2D fish tank, and they would just, for some reason they couldn't leave the ceiling, and they would swim like tadpoles, and they were like black and red shadow beans, and they would just circle and just go round and round and round. And some of them were larger and some of them were smaller, and it turns out that they were the archons. I wanted to speak of the ancient ones. This is an observation I've had from close interpersonal relationships, which were never too good, really. And they had powers, they had wisdom, they had smarts, these people. But they had powers, but they had evilness. They had an evilness in them that was deep down in there, kind of like a snake. And when one of them, I kind of realized what was going on. It was a person, a human, a female. I went home and had two copperheads waiting for me at the door. That if I didn't happen to look down when I opened the door, they would have been in the house with me. Then, the same day, a black snake got into the house as well. So I had to get that out. Then I had a nightmare with the person in the dream. We were in warfare together, and I just sort of stood up to her, and all of a sudden I saw her real form, and it was like this huge, like ancient black snake. It was like over 100 and 200 feet long, and I watched it just turn its head and look at me and go up and slither up this giant mountain top. And I knew, wow, this is some shit. The other one was, he's dead again, supposedly. Since the first time I made this, he was dead, but now supposedly he's really dead again. I had a sense with some of the stuff that I had seen and gone through that he was old, like thousands of years old. And he couldn't probably be killed, is probably what is going on down with that guy. And then I had another stalker that I didn't really talk about. It was more I didn't know him personally, so I don't know if he's a black ops or not, but he was a high, dark magician for sure, because he could not feel pain when other men would try to restrain him from hurting me. It could practically break his arm, and he didn't feel nothing. When I was in the courtroom with him to get restraining order on him, I didn't look at him when he was on the stand, but you have to kind of pretend that you care when you're in court because there's not many people there. And so I sort of looked sideways between him and the judge just to kind of pretend I was looking at him. And I saw this black shadow triangle inverted pentagram floating in the air between him and the judge. And my last super soldier boyfriend had produced the same thing in the air the day that all the hell and the shit broke down. That was when that was produced. It's called a reverse pentagram, and I don't know, it has something to do with satanic stuff, but it's you have to be the ultimate highest level magician to make that. It's very evil. It's like Satan himself. It's like a porthole that will allow some serious evil in. So if you ever see that, you better get the heck away from it as fast as you can, because you're not going to be able to stand up to that evil. It's horrible. And I saw it literally fly into the judge's head. And I don't know how much later that was, but the judge did die. I know that. But I don't have a timeline on that one for you. This one ancient one that I think is an ancient one, that's like a vampire that's lived for thousands of years, he was supposedly my ally and my friend, and we had a positive relationship. He was a healer. And then my higher self told me to go do a snake dance on the top of the Serpent Mounds in Ohio during a solar eclipse. It was only a 4-minute window if the sun and the moon were exactly, and it was a mound where you could see the sun and the moon. They were both pink, and they both looked identical size. It was just fabulous. And I tried to get people to dance with me and said, come on, let's all do the serpent dance I learned in India. And I had some sacred ash that was blessed by Naga King as well. And everybody decided not to dance with me as I'm trying to teach them how to be a snake, and they all just start taking pictures and shooting pictures at me. And so I keep dancing and dancing, and it was just a beautiful 4 minutes or 3-minute experience. And in the pictures are hundreds and hundreds of orbs, and I can give these to James as well. He can put up. We're just covered in orbs. And there's one where I'm licking the orb, like in the snake mudra, where I think it's called Kachari something, the breath. It's the breath of the snake. It cools you down. You breathe through your tongue in and out. I didn't even remember. I was in a trance. I don't remember half of this stuff. Another picture is these white ghost dragon snakes, and they're just 2 of them. And they have the heads, and they have open mouths, and they have like antennas like snails. And I'm surrounded by 2 white ghost snakes while I'm dancing. It is very beautiful, very impressive. Well, after that dance, I felt like $1 million, which is why I love sacred dance. Well, that's when I got a phone call from the dark ancient one, and he had a completely... I wasn't even back from the mountain that I was on. He called immediately, and he was pissed. Mr. Nice Guy was gone, and that was the beginning of 3 years of hell, of torture, and satanic torture and black ops stuff. Also, I wanted to talk to you guys about the people with no souls. I never really met too many people that had this experience, but it's happened to me a couple of times, and it really freaks me out. It's happened particularly I used to travel a lot for my dancing work and fly here, fly there, fly everywhere by myself. It's kind of lonely. And I'd be in these small town airports, and I'd like look and try to buy water and like smoothies from the cashiers, and try to talk to people and say hello and hey and what's up. It was like 0 interaction, 0 emotions. Like, they didn't even hear me. It was like I wasn't there. It's like everyone but me had a soul. And it's terrifying. You're in a room with thousands of people and just walking by. And you can't get a human to actually respond. And so I would have to call a psychic friend on the phone and just say, don't get off the phone until I get on the airplane. It was like, it's very terrifying to be in a room of thousands of people with no souls. I'm sure other people have had this experience. Closest thing I've ever heard of is the late Delora Cannon, the sweet grandma, psychic. Well, she wasn't. She says she wasn't psychic, but she regressed people and discovered quantum hypnotism or whatever it was. She says there's like places where they just don't bother like with the real reality. They just have kind of actor people there. She calls them screen people or something. So I don't know if that's where I was or if I was in some alien base. I don't, or clones. It was bad. I don't know. But one time I was driving back from Atlanta from a gig late at night, and I had my makeup on and my hair wasn't covered, which is not a good idea late at night. And I had a golden Cadillac kind of get off the freeway with me, and then he would be ahead of me most of the time where I was going home. So I didn't think anything of it. It's a really nice Escalade with the hubcaps that spin backwards and the black tint, and like someone had some money. Well, I get out of my car to go to my back door, and that black Escalade is pulled up in the driveway, which means I can't get in my car and go anywhere. Two very large, gigantic muscle men get out of the car, and they come running. And I know, oh my God, I'm screwed, because the place I lived had 3 deadbolts. One was on the floor. You could, even you weren't in a hurry, you could barely get your hand, and I have tiny little hands, into the door frame to open it. And this is in the dark. And then you have 2 more, and the other one is behind a lock that they never moved, so you really have to get your hands, you have to unlock it this way. Then you have a 3rd one. And I knew there was no way in hell I was getting in that door. It was less than 100 yards, and the men were running. And so I just pretended like I went to the back door. I threw off my high heels and put them somewhere they couldn't see them, and I just headed for the woods. And I sat there for 45 minutes with 911. And I wouldn't move my legs. I didn't want to make a crunch noise of the leaves. I mean, I could hear the men moving things. Like, it sounded like they had trash cans and flashlights. I mean, it was like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. There was no one out doing stuff in this expensive neighborhood I was in. So it was definitely them looking for me. I was just terrified. And eventually some undercovers came, and they made me come out of my hiding place, which I said, I really don't feel comfortable coming out of my hiding place. Why don't you guys come back here? So long story short, I had a shovel, and I came out, and then they were like, who are you? Show us your identification. What's proof of like you live here? And they were treating me like I had just murdered somebody. It's like, gee, man, I'm the victim here, people. So whatever, I was okay. But you think that would be the end of it? A month or 2 straight, I had this dude with no soul in a black, cheaper kind of a rodeo car, or whatever those ones are, the 80s looking cars. He kind of had the Rob Lowe sunglasses on, and he would like come out of where I would take this dog for a walk, and there's that guy, and he's like chasing me down, and me and the dog were like, run, and we run through the woods to the other part of the neighborhood where it's another road, and then there the car would be there, and we're like, oh shit, and we'd run through the woods again, and there he goes, and then boom, boom, boom. I mean, it was terrifying. And I didn't tell the lady I was living with what was going on, because I figured nobody would believe me. That's absolutely psycho, right? And she had finally told me one day, do you see that man driving around the neighborhood in that black rodeo all the time? Like we don't know who he is, and he doesn't belong here. And I already called the police saying, we don't know who that guy is. And I said, oh yeah, I noticed it the day after the black Escalade came. So the guy didn't have tint, and so I could see his face. And he did not have a soul, I swear to you. There was nothing there. There was no soul. It was very scary. It was like he had superpowers, and I knew it, and it was very torturous. Very torturous. So be aware of those with no souls. I don't know what they are. They could be cyborgs or robots or aliens. I don't really know. Some people had asked some questions that James Rink read to me, and I thought I could answer some of them about super soldiers. Why would I be targeted? That's one question. Besides, both of my parents graduated from a southern school that had an Illuminati symbol on the cover of their yearbook, made of like 3D brass, like the eye and the big sun and all with the spokes coming out. And they were in the different Kappa Kappa, Beta Beta, whatever those things are. And then my father was an IBM executive for many years, very, very high up there, a VP position. And he was also born near a secret military base. And I was born on his birthday, which is very common in super soldiers to have a twin or be born on the birthday of a parent. I was also born on the orb of a solar eclipse. Look at the astrology of your birth, and you'll super soldiers would be designed, the ones that are implanted in DNA even during birth and even before conception, possibly planned out when the birth will happen because of particular signs and connections with the sun and moon. So look for eclipses in your ephemeris. Also, I believe I'm some sort of bloodline. I'm Rh negative. My eyes change colors, blue, green, gray. I have pure Scottish bloodline DNA on both of my family, my mother and my father. And as everyone knows, the super soldiers, they would target Native American and Scottish heritage, Celtic DNA. And apparently has to do with the metagene factor and the ability to create. And that's a very important part of super soldierness. Well, another reason is, like I said, bloodline. I don't know how many greats. My great, but I'm not really sure how many greats, was Sir Christopher Wren. He is the main architect that rebuilt London, and he was the court astrologer to the king, and he also built St. Paul's Cathedral, which, if you haven't been there, it still hasn't been duplicated. The amazing dome and the sacred geometry in there is magical. It defies reality what that man did. He also founded the Royal Society of London, which is sort of a secret society of the higher minds and esotericism and astrology, and that's all I really know about him. When I read the book, The Expected One, it was a trilogy, a beautiful series based on 20 plus years of pure research using folklore, architecture, the masters' paintings, things like that, besides just regular history. There was a lot more research to be done on the missing link, or the Trinity, the missing Magdalene. That book gave me trance visions of being burned alive as Matilda of Tuscany, a red-headed warrior queen. She was a princess and then she became queen, and she combated the popes when they became evil. They had been infiltrated, just like the Masons and just like the Illuminati infiltrated the Aleister Crowley cult, Golden Dawn, and other things. A lot of things started out good, and then they ended up becoming taken over, and that happened with the Catholic Church as well. So she was a warrior goddess, and she was a living being with red hair, and she fought in battle with the actual men. She fought equally on the ground and on the horse with weapons to prevent the takeover of the dark side. Also, when I was 13-ish, I made my first real drawing painting, and I'll send this to James as well. It's a beautiful monarch butterfly, like made with a watercolor, and then there's the moon in the background. And behind the moon, you see Saturn and another moon. And I never thought about it. My grandfather just recently passed away, and I inherited my painting again, and I looked at it after now what I know, and I'm going, okay, that's kind of strange. If you know about the Saturn and the moon phobias and all that stuff in the moon, it's pretty telling. I did have a recent memory of being part of Project Mockingbird, which I honestly never heard the word Project Mockingbird, but I had a dream about it and doing missions overseas, and that was very recent, and that put me on the investigation, and that is a super soldier program from the olden days that maybe it's still implemented, I don't know, and it has to do with international traveling, doing super soldier work abroad, and I have traveled a lot. I'm on my 3rd passport already, so who knows, maybe I thought I was just dancing, and maybe I was doing other things at night. When I first noticed overt harassment of technology is around 10 plus years ago. I put on a GMO conference, a lecture, and a dance and music show for awareness of genetically modified foods. And I flew in General Stubblebine. I forgot how many, he might be a 5-star general. I apologize, I don't remember how many stars, but he was apparently the head of the entire, MK Ultra program and all that stuff. And he knows all what's going on. And him and his wife, Dr. LeBeau, have been uncovering and, risking their lives to uncover the truths of the food as a weapon, how to protect ourselves. and many other things. And that's the beginning of everyone I knew turning against me, professionally and creatively. And all sorts of BS crap started happening when I did that. Yeah, you don't know what you're getting into until you try to really change the world and take on something. I recently had a Skype session from Peter. I think he's in Australia. I'm not sure where he is, but you can find him through James Rink Super Soldiers. And at the kindness of his heart, he will help you. Somehow he hacks into your Black Ops file and gives you a couple of code words and maybe some other ways that you were created if you do have a file. And he was he was pretty accurate. I didn't tell him stuff, and he knew that I had electromagnetic hand powers, very intense hand powers, which explains why if I do my finger and I point to a spider or a cockroach and I say in the name of Jesus Christ, blah, 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 Archangel Michael, the thing dies. Okay, so I know about the finger. I didn't tell him that, though, and he told me that I had electromagnetic hand powers, and I was three out of two, how to say it, two-thirds, I was two-thirds alien, which, in my whole life, to be honest, I never felt like I was a human. I didn't understand the human thing very well. He also said that my nervous system has been completely rewired and rebuilt with a false nervous system, and that's what I've been trying to work on, is the stupid nanobot nervous system thing. You have to be really clean on your diet. It's not even funny. It's like you can't even have one yummy bite of carb or anything. Plus you got to take all these herbs. And he's given me a secret tincture that I'm supposed to take that will also help with cleansing this horrific nervous system I have. I think he said I was a runner, but I guess I'm super fast or something. I don't know. There's so many odd things. I haven't quite worked it all out, but he was very joyful to talk to and very informative, and it was definitely an experience. I recently just had a session with Adrian. He's from the States, and he can also hack into the programmings of your super soldier file and help delete some negative programs that are in there. And I definitely had a healing. I felt things inside my body pulsing. I could feel my electromagnetic bulges coming in my head and my heart. And then I felt drugged for 24 hours. I was wiped on my butt. And I felt like I had like a detox or something. I think that's what he said. He was going to close down some of the programs. And so that seemed like it did something. I'm still working that one out as well. Just some fun facts. When you're a super soldier, you're able to remote view and you're able to do astral travel and things like that. And these are just some random experiences I've recently had with outer body. That's pretty amazing. I think it was Elohim. This was like the Thanksgiving 2 or 3 years ago. We had this huge comet, and I was praying, and then I was meditating, and I fell asleep or something. I was unconscious, and then I ended up astral traveling to the comet, and I jumped on top of it, and I rode it like a horse, and I was going so fast. It was the most amazing thing in my whole life. Like a million miles in a minute. I mean, faster, 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 faster. And I'm riding that thing, and I've been kind of watching it on the website where they have the satellite, and it was either green and blue to begin with, or it was red and orange. But whatever it was on the satellite, it's what it was when I jumped on it and I was riding it. While I'm on it, the whole thing changes colors. And it was like turning orangish red while I was on it, and it was like bluish green. I'm like, okay, wow, that's cool. Then I finally make it back to my bedroom and to my computer, and the first thing I do when I wake up, oh my God, let me see what that was the right comet. And I look, and there it is. It's the same color. I said, oh my God. So we all do this stuff. We just don't remember. And then just the other day, I don't know why. I guess because I had a healing with the clan mother and her super satellite scalar healing machine. I can't even remember the name of it. I don't know if that's what happened on this one, but somehow I tapped into a satellite or a telescope way up in there in space. And it was like I was inside the technology, and it was like a giant ball. And it had like a lens. It went choo, choo. And it would move choo, 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 And so I could see inside what the lens was seeing, and it would see into deep, deep space for like a long, like almost infinity. And I got to see what the lens was seeing, and I went from here to the infinity, and then back to here to the infinity. You know, the deep space in all the directions. So that was pretty amazing. I'm just glad I can remember. I mean, like I said, we all do these things, but we just might not remember some of them. So it's nice to remember them. And then be careful of these love bites and targeted individual things. They can falsify your reality. They have machines or whatever, 3D hologram type things, and they can actually make you think you saw something. That's not true. And I used to love the sun, and after my last love bite, the sun used to come and wake me up every day, and there would be a beam in my yard. It was the beam of love, I thought it was. And then when I broke up with my guy, the beam of love became half, and the beam would go in immediately. The next day, the beam would be in two parts of the yard at the same time. It's like, yeah, that's not good. And so I stopped loving the sun for like 2 years, and now I finally love the sun again. But it was, it's just, don't believe everything you say. You got to go within and know the truth. The truth is within you. I do some sessions on Skype. Some astrology angel life readings. I do different charts based on Vedic astrology, and I cross-reference it with ancient Kabbalah angel readings and let you say what your life purpose is and your gifts and what to cultivate in this lifetime. Sort of like a life path reading. I also do other kinds of psychic readings. I don't do healings on Skype. I give referrals for that. But you can go to angeloakproductions.com. The S is at the end of production. So just www.angeloakproductions.com. And you can book an appointment online there. It's not very descriptive because the website's just getting up there. But that's a way to get in touch to further your experiences, to be on the positive timeline of your own destiny. Thank you, and stay eternally yourself.